Welcome to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at BTC. Let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Okay, so we're still looking at pretty much all the same options that we did in the previous video. They are all still valid. Now I just wanted to go over them briefly here. Looking for that bullish count, what we are saying is that we have a wave 2 already in place here. Now this is a lower confidence move because what we are saying is that we have a diagonal here. With this is a flat, and effectively what we are looking for here is a push up towards this zone of this 32,852. So this is viable for as long as we hold this 29,701. What we would be saying within this is effectively that we are getting a series of 1s and 2s in here. And what we would be looking for here is effectively either this wave 2 to be here, and we'd be saying that within here we have something like a diagonal. It's not my favorite count, to be honest with you, but it is technically possible for as long as we hold this low here of this 30,194. The key area here that we would be looking for though is this 32k. If we do see price start to rally here and we do see a 5-wave move up towards this 32k region, then potentially what we could actually have is this series of 1s and 2s. Now if we do rally up from here, it is possible that we could have another 1-2 over here, which would mean that we would get an additional 4th and a 5th, making up this yellow 3rd wave first. But we need to just wait for the structure to confirm. It is also possible that we could argue that we have something like this as a wave 2, and this would just be 1 2 1 2. The target level then for this 1618 would remain the same. So if we are looking at this, really I want to see price starting to spike to the upside here. I want to start to see good volume come in here, and we need to see price breaking out of this range. Otherwise it becomes more likely that this is just a bigger corrective structure, so we need to be careful of that. We were talking about a couple of potentials here in the previous video, still looking for that possibility that we could still see this as a bigger B wave to the upside here. So we need to just be on the lookout for that. Now if we were looking for this as still being within a B wave, one thing I am looking out for, this will also apply to that idea of this as an impulse where we're building this as a 1-2 and then another 1-2 here. So what we could actually have is that this could be A, this could be B, and this could be a C wave in the forming here. Now looking at this structure, this is just, it's very early days in trying to analyze this, and this would be invalidated by basically breaking down below this 29,946. But what I'm looking out for here is the potential that we could have this is 1 2 3 4 and 5, looking for a diagonal pattern here. So because we have this as a possible zigzag here, what we could get is this as a zigzag to the downside, another zigzag up, zigzag down, zigzag up. Now this would be looking to potentially target out this 1-to-1 level and looking to sweep these highs. This would also then align with coming back into that bigger area here for this B wave, looking to target out either this 1-to-1, which is here at this 31,431, or alternatively, if we do look to push up higher towards this 1,236, 32k is going to be quite an interesting target. We do have this swing high here towards this 31,765, so we'll be keeping an eye on that if we do move up into this range. What I want to see here is 3 waves to the upside if this is the case. Now I am thinking if we do see something like this, it's probable that we're going to see this 3rd and this 5th actually bounce off of this central channel line. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on that if we do see this move actually develop to the upside. Now the key thing here is within the bullish count, this could work as well as a 1 2 3 4 5, because then what we'd be saying is that we had 1 2, this is another 1, we'd look for a 2, and then we'd be looking for that continuation to the upside. So if we do start to form something like this, going to be keeping an eye on that bullish potential here. Now it is also possible that we could have something like this with W, X, and a Y, and we're looking for this 1-to-1 lower down here towards this 29,384, and we're looking for this 1-to-1 of the W wave here between this 29,451 and this 29,013 is the most common area that we look for this. So there is still this potential to break to the downside here. We need to be careful of this. There is a couple of ways, like I said, of counting this, and we also need to just be careful that we don't complete into this high here. And if we do, you know, then that opens up that possibility we could start to see a bigger 5-wave move to the downside. So we always need to be aware of these things. These things can develop as time goes on here. Typically what happens when we're going to get a bigger impulse is we don't just break down instantly. We form a series of 1s and 2s, and then we start to get going. So the way that I'm looking at this currently now and in this lower time frame, and what I'm thinking here is this move over here is either going to be completed into this high, and we're going to start to look to break down where we looked for a 5-wave move from this point here. but that would only get confirmed by moving down past this 29,617. So what I want to see here is that if this is 1, 2 here, and we're looking for 3, 4, 5, and this becomes A, B, and C, what I want to see is a move down past this 29,617. The thing I'm being cautious of here, because of how choppy this top area is, it is possible that this move could actually be looking to complete, where this is just A, B, and C to the downside. Now, 1-to-1 is down here towards this 30,133. This would also align with actually coming back here into this zone here, where we would be looking at a 702 retracement here. It would be just beyond this golden pocket. So going to be keeping an eye on this low over here. Potentially a sweep of this down into some of these ranges could be quite interesting. As well as that, if we do look for an extension here, the 786 is sitting towards this 29,983. So if we do see price fall off here one more time, which I think is likely given the structure here, what we could see is this could just become a 3-wave move to the downside. So we're going to be keeping an eye on this lower level here, seeing if we look to actually sweep some of these lows, if we are looking for that continuation up. Now, if we do manage to hold support here towards a 786, what we could see is price could actually be coming back to the upside here for the C wave. Now, this would align with the same idea that we talked about earlier, where we're looking for that possibility of this B wave still being in play. What we would be saying here, though, is that it would be probable that this would then be a W, this would be an X, and then we'd have this as effectively a Y wave to the upside. So this is why I'm looking for this potential of this ABC pattern here. If we do see this as W, X, and Y, this could still align with coming towards this 1-to-1 level at this 31,431. So that is why I'm looking at that possibility of upside here. Now, it is also possible, this is the problem at the moment, there's a lot of possibilities, is if we do see a price break down into this level here of this 29,701 to this 29,202, I'm going to be very cautious here that this isn't a flat correction here, which would be quite a tricky one in this instance, because what we could actually have is this ends up being a bigger flat correction where we sweep these lows, come down into this support zone here, and then from there what we'd actually be looking at as a common target, depending on how low we come here. If we came down to this 1236, 1618 would be back above these highs again, and then if we do come down to this 1382, that 1618 would actually be over here towards this zone of this 31,366, which would be back into these highs again. So this is why I'm just being a bit cautious about this. If we do see price sweep down here, unless we get good structure, potentially we could still be looking out for something like this. This would be very tricky and obviously would fool a lot of people in the market. We'd get a sweep down here, then we'd get, that liquidity grabbed at the top end of this again. And then after this, the idea would be that we'd still be looking for that continuation down afterwards. So unless we get that good impulse to the upside, we need to be careful, because a lot of these counts are still pointing towards the downside a little bit more. Now, looking at this internal count here, what I would be saying here is that, there's a couple of ways we can count this. If I come down onto the smaller time frame here, we can argue that this is just this is ABC for a wave 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is a third wave, this is a fourth, and then we're looking for this fifth wave to the downside. Now, the fifth wave target is actually this 30,152 to this 30,060 level. Now, if I overlay this idea of this 1-to-1, we can see that in the higher end of this would come up into that zone. So if we do see price fail to break above this 30,531, I am looking out for that possibility. We could still see a 5-wave move to the downside into this region here, looking to sweep some of these lows, and then that possibility of that continuation to the upside. Now, the problem is if we start to develop another 5-wave move to the downside like this, what we need to be careful of is within this count, we're saying, we do have a 5-wave move here, we've got a 3-wave move up. Now we've got a 5-wave move here, we've got a 3-wave move to the upside. Now if we get another 5-wave move here, this can just be ABC, but it could also just be 1, 2, another 1, 2 here, and then this starts to break down in a bigger way. So our key target we're being on the lookout here for is this 1618 down here towards this 28228 as a possible breakdown target. Now, this would be invalidated by moving back above this 31,045. So really, we want to move back above that. The reason why I'm not too keen on this is because we had a very deep wave 2 here. So This can happen, but you know, we have come up quite deep here, so we'll have to just keep an eye on it. But the idea would be that, you know, whether we want to count this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and say we're completed here, and then potentially we're looking for a wave 2 already. What we need to be very careful of is that if we fail to break back above this 30,816 level, what we could actually then see is either this, from this point, get this as A, B, and C, and we move up into this range now, or alternatively, we get that push to the downside, get this fifth wave come in, and then we'd still have to be careful of this this 0.786 to this 50% of this move to the downside here. So if we do actually get that move to the downside like that, what we need to be careful of is the fact that, you know, if we do come down here, what we could then see is price could then get a three-wave structure back to the upside, fail to break above this zone, and then we see continuation to the downside. Now, if we do see that, we need to be careful, because this could then mean that we are looking for this lower target here if we start to break down more aggressively here. Really, once we start to lose this zone here, you know, possibly this low would be the point. I would say you'd need to start being really careful. It's 29.5. It becomes more likely, you know, we're going to be dropping down into some of these other levels that we've got here, possibly lower down here towards this 28.4, 28.5. We've got this higher range here, this 28.7. So we'd have to be careful of that, because if we start breaking down into some of these lower ranges here, you know, this 1618 target, if we hit that, we need to be careful of that idea of that additional fourth and a fifth to come to the downside. So this is why I'm just being cautious with this one. Really, until we start to break back above the high, we need to be careful of this continuation to the downside in this way. Having a look at the daily CPRs here, what we can see is that we are currently below these central lines. Now, what I'm looking for is that, you know, if we're looking for that idea of that fourth wave, this kind of aligns with this, because we do have two of these lines sitting on our resistance areas, which would be this 30,455 and this middle line here at this 30,531. Even if we do get a sweep to the upside here and we had to move up towards this 30,597, it still wouldn't invalidate our count as a 1-2 here. So we need to be careful. If we do see a move back up in here just in 3 waves, it could indicate we're going to see continuation to the downside. Now, an interesting thing with this as well is that our R1 is sitting here towards this 30,063. So going to be keeping an eye on that. If we do see price start to move to the downside, that could align with this fifth wave. Now, if we do look to break down in a bigger way, what we do have as targets for today is this 29,749. We have this 29,299, and we also have this 28,981 to the downside. Now, if we do see price actually start to reverse and we start to build above this, because, you know, I'm saying that this is a zigzag, but this could be 1-2. We get another 1-2 here, protect the lows, set a higher low, and then we see price move to the upside here in a 5-wave move. It is a possibility. We need to see it actually play out though. If we do see that, then we do have potential to come up into this S1 at this 30,845, S2 at this 31,298, and this S3 at here, this 31,614. S4 is up here towards this 32k. So that would align with that idea of seeing that additional push to the upside. We're going to have to keep an eye on this and see exactly how it develops. These points are just points that price can pivot off of within the market. Now, looking at the weekly, what we can see is that we are still currently holding this bottom line here. If we start to lose this, this could be a bad sign here. So we need to be careful. If we do look to push up slightly higher here, we do have some confluence here at this 30,455 with our central CPR line. And then if we are looking at that idea that we could see this as a 1-2, still need to be careful here towards this 30,595 as a possible rejection area. If we do break down in this 5-wave move like this, potentially what we could see is a move back up into one of these levels as that wave 2 if we're going to see continuation down. Alternatively, if we are looking at that more bullish case, what I want to see is this be A, B, and C, and then I want to see price get back above these. If we do get back above these, we do have weekly targets here at this 31,208. We have this 32,252 and this 33,000 area as potential targets. To the downside, what we have here as targets for this week is this 29,408, this 28,658, and this 27,615 as potential targets actually for this week. So going to be keeping an eye on those. Now, if we do look to move back to the downside here, we do still have some support here in the CPR lines. We do have this potential zone here, this 29,699. We have this 28,905. And this lower range here of this 28.74. So that would align with that idea of actually having that deeper retracement, looking to push down one more time here. Particularly this central line is going to be interesting to me, this 28.895. I want to see how we react around this zone if we do move down there. However, if we do start to push to the upside for this month, we have this target of this 32.982. We have this 35.538, and we have this 39.632 as potential upside targets for this month. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and leave us some feedback down below. Also in the description, you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out. It is free to join. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.